Imagine a world where, the moment the sun disappeared, your entire city went dark. No streetlights, no glowing buildings, no late-night shops, no bright hospital rooms, just darkness. And then one man looked at that darkness and said, "I'm going to change this." People laughed at him. They thought he was crazy. But years later, his invention would change the way billions of people live. That man was Thomas Edison. But here's the part most people don't know. Edison wasn't a brilliant student sitting at the top of his class. In fact, his teachers thought he was incapable of learning. He spent only a few months in a traditional school. One teacher reportedly believed he simply wasn't capable of being educated. But Edison had something more powerful than perfect grades. He was obsessed with questions. His mother believed in him and taught him at home. And that curious little boy grew up constantly asking, how does a machine work? How does sound travel? How can electricity be controlled? And eventually, he asked a question that would change the world. Can electricity create a practical light? At the time, people already had light. They had candles, they had gas lamps, but these were expensive, dangerous, smoky, and unreliable. Edison wanted something completely different. A light that was bright, a light that was safe, a light that could burn for hours, and most importantly, a light that ordinary people could use. In 1878, Edison made a decision. He wasn't just going to experiment with electric light, he was going to make it work. But there was one huge problem. He could make a wire glow. The problem was keeping it glowing. The moment the wire became hot enough to produce light, it burned out. Again and again and again. So Edison and his team began testing different materials: cotton, wood fibers, carbon, bamboo, and countless other possibilities. One experiment failed, then another, then another. The failures kept piling up, but Edison kept going because he understood something most people don't. Failure isn't the opposite of success. Sometimes, failure is the road to it. Then came one of the most important nights in the history of technology. October 21st, 1879. Inside Edison's laboratory, a new bulb was ready. Inside it was a carbonized cotton filament. The glass bulb was sealed. The air had been removed. Everything was ready. Edison and his team stood around the bulb. Nobody knew what would happen. The switch was pressed. The filament began to glow. First red, then orange, then brighter. The bulb was producing light, but nobody celebrated yet because they had seen this before. They were waiting for the moment it would burn out. 1 minute passed, then another, then another. Minutes became hours, and the light was still there, still glowing, still alive. For the first time they knew. This was different. Edison hadn't simply created a glowing wire. He had helped create a practical electric lighting system that could transform everyday life. And when the news spread, not everyone believed it. Some newspapers mocked the idea. Some people called it impossible. Others thought it was a trick. So Edison decided to show the world. At Menlo Park, he turned on his electric lights at night. Thousands of people came to see them. Imagine walking into a place that had always been dark and suddenly seeing it filled with electric light. People stared. People cheered. Some couldn't believe what they were seeing. It looked almost impossible. It was as if someone had turned night into day, but the real revolution was only beginning. Factories could work after sunset. Hospitals could operate at night. Students could study longer. Stores could stay open later. Cities could remain active long after the sun had disappeared. The invention didn't just change lighting. It changed time itself. And that's why the light bulb is about more than electricity. It's about persistence. Because behind that simple switch on your wall, there were countless experiments, countless failures, countless moments when giving up would have been easier. Today, you press a switch, and the darkness disappears in an instant. You probably don't think about the person who helped make that moment possible, but every time a light comes on, it tells a powerful story. The world doesn't change because someone never fails. It changes because someone refuses to stop after failure. Thomas Edison didn't defeat the darkness in one night. He fought it through years of experiments, mistakes, and persistence. And eventually, the darkness lost. So the next time you turn on a light, remember, sometimes the brightest things in the world are born from years of darkness. Which part of this story surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. And with that, another chapter closes, but another one's already waiting. Until next time, stay curious.